Okay, good morning everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to invite Lexi to come up here and introduce our guest speaker for the day.
Good morning. Today we are fortunate to have with us Inman alum Micah Mikulecky. Micah moved to Inman from Bismarck, North Dakota at the end of her sophomore year of high school in 2015. While in high school, Micah participated in volleyball, prom committee, IHS, and Latin club. Micah graduated from Inman High School in 2017 and attended HCC in the fall. Micah graduated from HCC in the spring of 2019 with an Associate of Arts degree. From HCC, Micah was awarded a transfer scholarship from Wichita State University and was accepted into the education program. Micah completed her student teaching internship in Wichita Public Schools and graduated from WSU in May of 2021 with a Bachelor of Arts in Education majoring in History and Government, 6 through 12. Out of college, Micah secured a position as a 7th grade social studies teacher at Hutchinson Middle School. Even though the school year is still young, Micah is enjoying her job and loves sharing her passion with her students and making an impact. Let's give Micah a warm welcome back to Amy. All right, good morning. I'm only used to talking to about 20-some kids, so this is very new for me. Just at a show of hands, who is all interested in education? You are not interested in education, right? Just a few, yes, hello. So just a few, it looks like, that's okay. I know teaching isn't everybody's cup of tea, but it's mine. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about me. Yes, I graduated Inman in 2017, and I have some siblings. Brand is a junior, and my sister Macy, she graduated here in 2019, and she goes to Fort Hays, and she's also doing education, so that's really cool. And my parents, Mindy, my mom, she's the secretary here, and my dad, who a lot of you may know, he is the baseball coach. And then at the bottom, that is me and my boyfriend, Tyler. We went to school together, high school sweethearts. And here in a few weeks, it'll be 6 years, so we've been together a while, so I consider him family. All right, so a little bit about me. I'm not from Inman. I've moved around quite a bit in my life. We're from Kansas, so I went to, does anybody know what Quivira Heights is at all? Quivira Heights. It's Central Plains now, but that's where I went to school for a little bit until 3rd grade, and then we decided to move to South Dakota, and didn't stay there long at all. And then we made our way up to North Dakota, where I finished out elementary and middle school, and then at the end of my sophomore year, my family and I, we decided, well, not me, but my family decided to come back home. Throwing some shade at my mom, it's okay. I'm okay now, but honestly, it was really hard to adjust to, moving in high school, especially when it was the end of my sophomore year. It was really hard, but obviously I got through it. I'm alive. I'm here. That's just a little bit about me. So I'm not from Inman. I honestly don't know what I would consider my hometown because I moved around so much. But I did graduate in 2017. I look at this picture now and I'm so mad at myself because I failed to iron that orange thing. There's like the 2 ugly creases in it. It makes me so mad, and I'm like, why did my mom not tell me to iron that? I don't know. But my advice to you guys as in terms of high school is to enjoy it. It really does go by super fast, and just make sure you are involved in whether it be sports or prom committee, FFA, FCA, National Honor Society, STUCO. I was not involved that much, and I wish I was. So my advice to you guys, even though some of you, a lot of you are seniors, just make the most of your high school career because it really does go by so fast. So go to games, go to dances, even though it gets really hot in the commons. I don't know if it's improved since then. And they play like the same songs every year, so. I don't know if it's different now, but the dances are fun. I'm not knocking the dances, they are fun. But just enjoy high school and, college, we'll talk about that. But it really does go by fast, and there are some things I wish I could have done a lot differently. But all we can do from there is move on and make the most of what we have lying ahead of us. So that was my goal after high school. College, I did go to Hutch JUCO after graduating high school. Is anybody planning on going to Hutch JUCO after high school? A few? Nice. I would advise you guys to take college courses your senior year. I think that helped me out tremendously. I feel like if I had not taken those courses, I probably would have had to have probably 5 years in college instead of 4, and I'll get to that in a second. But something interesting, education was not my first idea, or my first set major that I wanted to do. I thought about it, but I was like, I'm way too shy to be a teacher. I hate public speaking, but here I am today. I got over that. But in high school, middle school, elementary, I was so shy. I would be horrified looking at me, from a high school perspective. Wow, you're actually talking to however many kids. That's crazy. I know. But my first plan was to major in dental hygiene. And I'm looking back at it, I'm not really sure why I picked that. I'm not knocking it at all. Great profession. But I think it just I wanted to pick something, and so that's kind of what I went with. So at Hutch JUCO, I took all the prereqs for dental hygiene, and you have to apply to a dental hygiene program, and I really wanted to get into the one at Wichita State. But that's a really hard one to get into. And so I didn't want to give myself false hope trying to get into that program, but moral of the story, obviously it didn't work out. So that, I kind of took that as a sign hey, I didn't get into the dental hygiene program, but maybe this is my sign that I can do something that I actually know I would enjoy doing. Excuse me. I had parent-teacher conferences from 8 to 8 yesterday, so my voice is a little crazy. So bear with me, but for as long as I can remember, history has been something that I've been super passionate about. I've always enjoyed going to history courses, social studies, maybe not so much government. Sorry. But other than that, I really like those classes. I would consider myself a history nerd or a history geek. My kids like to call me that now because I'll say, oh, we have a really cool video to watch today. And they're like, you're only saying that because you're a history geek. It's okay. But I was like, what can I do where I can kind of share my passion of history with others? And so the first thing that came to my head was a teacher. But at that point, I would kind of have some self-doubts. Do I have what it takes to be a teacher? I still hate public speaking. I like to stick to myself. But I decided to give it a go. I actually changed my major a week before graduating Hutch JUCO, but my degree did not change. I could either get an Associate of Science, because I took a bunch of medical classes at Hutch JUCO, or an Associate of Arts degree. So I decided to go with the Associate of Arts because I wanted to get the Bachelor of Arts in Education at Wichita State. So I did get a transfer scholarship to go to Wichita. Is anybody interested in going to Wichita at all? Maybe a few. Are you really, Grant? No. Okay. No, but Wichita State is a really great school. I know a lot of you are probably thinking about doing K-State, more than likely K-State, and K-State's awesome. But Wichita State, if you're looking for maybe a more cheaper option, Wichita State is an amazing school. The campus is great. They always do some fun things. Of course, when it's during, I'm going to classes and I can't stop and participate, so that's annoying, but never got to do that. But they do stuff on campus all the time. But you have to apply to the education program. And I think that goes for any university. You have to apply to the education program in order to take the education courses and do the student teaching. I got in, but there was kind of a setback. You had to have an ACT score of 21. And dental hygiene didn't really care so much about the ACT scores, so my main goal was to get an 18 so I could take college courses my senior year. So as soon as I got a 19, not trying to flex, but I said, you know what, that's good enough. I do not like the ACT. I'm not going to take it again. We're just going to call it good with that. So when I heard I had to get a 21, I was like, so I have to take the ACT again. Awesome. But, you know, after that meeting, my mom and I, we went to Barnes & Noble. We bought some books for me to study with, and I really did sit my butt down to study because a lot of it I hadn't, you know, had a course for or class for years, like math and science. I was worried about those, and English especially, because the only English classes that I took for college were my senior year of high school, and that was a long time ago. It seems like, at least. But moral of the story, I got a 23, so I was good to go. But I think one thing that I want to encourage you guys to do is to form good study habits now. If you haven't already, find what works for you. I feel like, you know, finding what works for me really helped me study for classes here in high school, and especially in college, because some of the exams in college are crazy hard, so you gotta study. And it stinks, but it's only a period of time of your life to get it over with. But my advice to you guys now is to form some really good study habits, because not everybody studies really well with, you know, looking at their notes and just studying from that. So I like to make flashcards. That's something that's always helped me, or looking at my notes for a short amount of time and then repeating it to myself verbally out loud, so it kind of sticks in my head. And that's how I aced all my essays in college, was that I would look at my notes and then verbally say it to myself, and I would remember it. But I graduated from Wichita State this year in May. So not too long ago, I did graduate with honors, which is, honestly, I wouldn't have thought of that, even achieving that. But as long as you know, put your schoolwork, you know, you don't have to put it first, but make sure you're doing whatever you can to succeed in your classes, and you will, you know, succeed. But I did graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Education, specifically History, Government, grades 6 through 12. So that would make my major secondary, so I can teach any, you know, from 6th grade to 12th grade, but I teach 7th grade, right in the middle. So, with the education program, you do have to do student teaching and internship. Internship is like your last semester, but I don't know how other colleges do it, but for Wichita State, you have 4 different cores. You have core 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like I said, I'm not sure how every college does it. My sister, she goes to Fort Hays, and it's a little different. But I like how Wichita State did it. But core 1, you go into a classroom, you sit there, and you observe. And it can be kind of boring sometimes, because you're not really doing anything. But they pick the school for you. So the first school that I was at was a high school, which I was kind of scared about, because at that time I was only 2 years older than a lot of those students. So I was like, I'm going to fit in the hallways, and a lot of them are way taller than I am. So I just kind of felt out of place at the high school, but I really did have a great mentor, and she gave me some really great advice. So that was core 1. Core 2 is kind of where it gets really interesting. Core 2, you have to teach 2 lessons, and I was kind of bad about it, and I kind of pushed them off until the last minute. But basically what happened is that I went on my spring break, which was like a week, and then Wichita, because I did all my student teaching in Wichita, their spring break was right after mine, so I had 2 weeks off, and my plan was to teach my first lesson when we got back, but COVID happened, so I never got to teach my first lesson, or any lesson that semester, because all the schools got shut down, and then Wichita State, we had to go all online. It was crazy, it was horrible, so stressful. But I felt kind of defeated because, you know, being a teacher, you have to know, like, how to teach. You have to be used to it. And at that time, I was like, some of my colleagues, they've already been teaching, and I haven't even got to teach one lesson yet. So I'm going to be a senior in college and not, you know, have taught a single lesson. So I was kind of defeated. In a way, I kind of really beat myself up, like, wow, I really should have, you know, got that done before spring break. So please don't procrastinate. I know that's a really huge thing that we all do. I do it, everybody does it. But in my case, it did not work out, so don't do it. So core 3, that was the fall of 2020. I had to teach 3 lessons, and I had to get one of those observed by a supervisor. So with the education program, I think it goes for no matter where you go. You have to have someone come and watch you, and they basically write down everything you did wrong and everything that you did right. And it's kind of scary, especially the lady that had to come watch me. She was intimidating, but I got to know her a lot better, and we are still in contact today, and she's so helpful. And I text her every now and then and ask her for advice. But for core 3 and core 4, I was at Pleasant Valley Middle School in Wichita. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it, but that's where I was, and it was honestly so amazing. I had the best mentor, the best group of kids. It was still hybrid, so I only had a few students. Like, that was my class right there. Usually it's more than that, but those are the only kids that I got to teach in person, so it was really different. But one thing that I want to say to you guys, when you are, those of you that are doing education, when you do have someone that's coming to observe your lessons, make sure, no matter, what they say, feedback, critique, advice, don't take it to heart, don't beat yourself up over it. My first lesson that I got observed on, it went horrible. I thought I did really good, and she gave me kind of a rundown of everything that she found wrong, and I was like, wow, I did really bad. And I was like, am I gonna be a good teacher? I don't know. But you know what, just taking that advice, it doesn't matter if you agree with it or not, but just kind of learn from your mistakes and grow from there. But you have to get all 3s and 4s, at least for Wichita, to pass the education program on your observations. And I was able to pass 3 observations, and so I was able to graduate. But honestly, I'm so happy with where I am today. I feel like being in the education program has really helped me come out of my, shy shell, as I like to call it. I'm not as shy anymore. I wouldn't be doing this if I was, but it was a lot of fun, and I still talk to a lot of these kids today, because I don't see them anymore, obviously, but they are some great kids. My last day of student internship was so hard. I cried like the whole day. It was horrible. I was like, I'm not going to wear makeup today because it's going to come off. And I was like, no, I want to wear makeup today because I never wear makeup because of the masks. And then I decided to wear makeup anyways, and it just went all over my face. It was really bad. But I wouldn't, this experience was so amazing. And I'm sure those of you that are doing education, your experience is going to be just as amazing as mine. So kind of why I chose education, I did mention that I'm a history geek. I like watching history videos on my lunch breaks. And, I've also had some really impactful teachers, not just social studies, but, science, math, you name it. It's not just history teachers, but a lot of teachers have inspired me to pursue education, and it's so fun. Like, I'm having a blast. But I do teach 7th grade social studies. Have any of you seen this weird building on Avenue A in Hutchinson? That's where I teach. It's so weird, and it's weird on the inside too. It has 4 floors. It's a nightmare, and I'm on the 4th floor. They say I'm in the penthouse. I don't think of it that way. I think of it as a punishment for being new. But there is an elevator. I just don't like to take it because it smells. But I do try to take the stairs because it is a workout for the day. It really is. Going down is a lot easier than going up. That's what I've learned. But I interviewed at 3 schools total. The first one obviously didn't work out. The second one didn't work out either. I feel like I did really good with the first one, but they decided to go a different way. The second one, I was so nervous, and the principal was very intimidating, and I didn't get good vibes from it. And then the third one, I was like, man, I really want to be here because it's close to home, and that's what I want. So obviously the interview went really well because I got the job. I was offered the job that day after the interview, and at HMS 7. And it's really fun. 7th graders, I get asked all the time, why did you do middle school? They honestly are so funny. Sometimes they scare me, but for the most part, they're really great kids. But life as a teacher I've kind of laid out my whole routine here, so I usually try to get to school at least 30 to 45 minutes before. That just gives me time to plan, relax before the day, get some materials ready. I'm always changing my lessons, like, oh, I think this would actually be better. But that's what I do, and I teach 6 classes each day with 2 planning periods because Hutch is a 6A school, so that it's the only middle school in the Hutch school district. I know there's Trinity and Central Christian, but in the Hutch school district, I teach about 90 kids a day, and that was scary at first, but now I have all their names memorized, so it's not as bad. But behavior situations, something that I never had any problems with during my student teaching. Behavior things are going to happen. I mean, you can't prevent them. There are going to be those kids that really push your buttons, and they're just being so disruptive. It's going to happen. You just got to handle it effectively and in a positive way. I had to send my first kid to the office a month ago, and I kind of beat myself up over it, because I was like, this kid's not going to want to come to my class anymore, because I sent him to the office. But him and I, we're good now. We like to pick on each other. It's fun. I do make mistakes. That's one thing I want everybody, not just for education, but just for everybody in general. Mistakes happen. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up over them. Just learn from them and grow. That's something that I tell myself that every day, because there is something that happens every day where I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. My first day of school, I left 2 kids downstairs and they got lost. So that was my first mistake ever. And I wanted to cry because I felt so bad, but you know what? I learned maybe I should wait to have all my kids before I go upstairs. And I didn't leave a kid. I haven't left a kid since, so that's awesome. Collaboration with colleagues is so important, whether it be your content or the science or the math. Everybody has such great advice and different strategies that you could use. I collaborate all the time with my content area, so the other social studies teachers and other teachers in the building as well, to get some different ideas. And classroom management is so important when you are a teacher. That's just basically how you run your classroom, how successful it's going to be. I thought my classroom management plan that I had set up was a good one, and it was not. It worked for some classes, but in some classes they are crazy, and it did not work, so I had to find something else that worked better. So it's okay to change things so that it works better. And I was scared to change it because I worked so hard on it. But it's okay to make changes if you want to see success. And I have been seeing success since I changed my classroom management plan. And then after school, I usually like to hang out. Kids want to come in and work on things. They can. I do a lot of my grading during that time. And I do plan and kind of decompress. Especially if I've had a really long day. It just kind of helps to sit in my chair and eat some candy and listen to music. It's okay. No one's going to get mad at you if you do that. But as long as you're being somewhat productive, and I have an awesome principal too. I'm in a really good building, so I'm happy to be where I'm at. And then why I love what I do, the kids are what makes it so awesome. Like I said, 7th graders are crazy. And they can scare me sometimes. I had a student bark at me the other day, and I just was in shock. I was like, why did you just bark at me? I don't understand. But I was like, okay, so now it's just kind of like our inside joke. And yesterday I got that girl in conferences, and I said, are you going to bark at me if I tell your mom that you have an F in my class? But she thought that was funny, but she could do a little better in class. But we talked about it, and we're going to do better. But I do get to serve as a positive role model for a lot of these kids, because this is kind of it can be a rough school, and some of these kids don't have the best home lives. So when they get to come to school, I kind of want to be like that person for them that they can depend on. I tell them, I said, I don't want to be your friend, but I am a caring professional who cares about, how you're doing, academic-wise, mentally, emotionally, stuff like that. But I tell them, I don't want to be your best friend, but I do care about you. And I also get to make an impact. I had a lot of kids yesterday in conferences come up and say, your class is my favorite, and I don't even like social studies. I'm not offended by that. Not everyone's cup of tea is social studies and history. It's mine, though. But it's awesome. I love getting to hear kids. I'm excited about what we're talking about because I do try to make it as interesting as I can. Because I know social studies isn't everybody's favorite subject. But I think, so far, I know it's only, I don't know, what month is it now? October. But I'm excited to see where the rest of the year takes me. But as for that, I hope I didn't talk too much. But that's all I have to say for today. But if you guys have any questions, I would love to take some, whether it be about education or just school in general.
Just pop your hand up and I'll move it. I'm going to screen this question real quick. He'll probably ask me later. I'm scared.
Years of school do you have to be a teacher?
Okay. Oh, yes. So, one thing I forgot to mention, 4 years is usually what it is. So 2 years I did at Hushtugo, and then 2 years I did at Wichita State. However, because I changed my major, I probably should have been in school a lot longer, but I decided I really wanted to graduate in 4 years. So usually in college, 12 hours is the max per semester that you want to take. That's a full load. I took 16 to 18, which was really hard. And then I also took classes in the summer as well. So it probably should have been like 5.5, but I knocked it out in 4. But it should be 4, but if it takes longer, that's okay. Take all the time you need. I just wanted to get done in 4 years.
What classes did you take that you didn't think you would use, but you actually use information from them a lot?
Okay, this might sound a little bad, but I mean, so for the education program, there's this one class, it's educational, what is it called? I lost my train of thought. Philosophy, and it was a great class, but I feel like everything from that class, I don't use it. I think maybe it's just how the class was presented because it was online, so it was a little hard for me. I did take a lot of math classes. I'm really bad at math. And I do use some math skills when it comes to calculating grades. So I am so bad at math. But a lot of them were useful, but like the algebra, I'm like, what am I going to use this for education? But no, all of it is really important. But there were some classes where I feel like I could have gotten a lot more from it. That's not a knock at you, Mr. Parsons. I loved your class. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good question. But I feel like all of them are important, but some of them I feel like could have been delivered in a better way. Oh, Mr. Curry. Hi.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Can you tell me, what is a part of your job that surprised you? You weren't expecting it when you got to the job. Teaching is a part of your job. What's one aspect of the job that surprised you?
Oh, that's a good one. Definitely behavior. I thought, coming from Wichita, my students were angels, and I didn't think I was going to have any, problems with behavior. I didn't think I was going to have to, get on kids, but it happens. Wasn't prepared for it at all. But I think I got the hang of it now. But definitely behavior. Managing that was definitely different for me, but that's a good question.
Let's give Micah a round of